evening, happy new year, glad to see everyone. I need a vote for Dr. Agenda. Second. Okay. What about the minutes? So you, okay. Somebody needs to second adopting the minutes. Okay, okay, go ahead. Okay. Now, it is my personal pleasure to introduce Mr. Jerry Solano from Janus Property, who owns, well, I'm concerned, that whole area between 126 and 127, between Amsterdam and what's that thing? No, that's Manhattan.
It's Manhattan and then Convent.
And then Convent, that whole area.
Morningside and then Convent.
Morningside, right, that sounds right. And so, Jerry, you're next and you're on.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
You want to pull up the, thank you.
Was this in a way? Huh? Okay. I'm glad you did this too, you know, I love to be that.
Oh, thank you. So will you click for me, Max? Is that what it is? Okay, thank you.
Somebody go next.
Great, great. So thank you, everyone. I am one of the two principals. Many of you met my partner, Scott Messner. We've been at Janus. We founded Janus 30 something years ago. And I met you only 25 years ago.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Okay.
For weeks. I'm going to adopt that now. So we had started acquiring many of these abandoned buildings 1980 something. And so Manhattanville, of course, being the historic name of this area of the community, we call it the factory district. We'll go through each of the buildings of what they were in industrial and how they've been converted and what we're trying to do, and some of the obstacles in today's market of doing that. So just flipping. So the area that we're talking about is really, so you know ECTO, the not-for-profit housing organization. They own the supportive housing, which is the triangle, and we have the industrial buildings and now commercial buildings on either side of this little triangle. So we can flip. And this is just a map of the buildings that are in the district. So Mink is on Amsterdam 126th. Malt was the former brewery, and Sweets was where they actually manufactured back in the 30s, Dentine chewing gum. So we've kept all these original names. Mink we named after the old first storage warehouse that was abandoned for about 40 years when we bought it. And then Tasty is just across the street. It was the old Tasty Bakery. It was abandoned from 1976 until about 2018 when we bought it and started the renovation. Sorry. So a lot of what we do as we're pitching to find users and tenants is we want to focus on what's really around us as the assets in the community. So whether it's the Apollo or City College, Columbia, Dinosaur Barbecue, the open parks, restaurants, this is part of what we highlight as we're showing what it surrounds, what just buildings, is that it's connected to the whole community of users. So, and each building has been designed for different users and infrastructure. And so Tasty Labs is now fully designed as a purpose-built life science building.
Permiso, ¿quién habla español?
Dime, ¿qué pasa?
La estación de bus de...
The bus station.
Ajá, ¿dónde?
Allí.
Hay una aquí, a la derecha.
Sí.
O sea, no es que es donde se para la terminal.
Ah, sí, around the corner. Sí, ahí va abajo, ahí, a la izquierda. No, make sure she wasn't waiting for like a bus. Yeah, local 100 bus. And we sent to the bus depot.
Right.
Sorry.
Is there a way of shrinking that, or did I put it in the wrong? Madison, can you zoom out, or is it just that's the way it is? Oh, there we go. One more zoom. Cool, okay. And so part of it is that Tasty Labs, and I'll go through what makes it a life science building, is literally connected to City College and to Columbia and to the Advanced Science Research Center, which is what's driving the demand in that one building. So, so it's a combination of the cultural and restaurants, as well as the life science and academic connections. So we can flip to the next page.
Okay.
Many of the users who have come to us want facilities. They want to be able to have conferencing and meetings. And so part of what we did is we researched between Apollo, Harlem Stage, Columbia, City College, to not have to build meeting and conference centers when there's so many all around it. And that's part of how we lay out where people can do the uses. So the next page. Many folks don't even know this neighborhood. And so in terms of employees commuting here and locating their companies, if you go to the next page, what we focused on was just showing all the different ways, by bike, by subway, by train. We're trying to attract people to bring jobs here from wherever. And we've had actually potential users from Westchester that would want to set up here and would hire here as well. And so we're trying to show them how they get here by Metro North and get over across 125th. So we can just flip next page. So now I guess I need to figure out my zooming one day. So many of you know this is done now. We got a C of O back in September, and it's LEED certified, new construction. And we tried originally saving the Tasty building, which was the old 4 bakery buildings and building on top, which I'll show you we in fact did at the mall house across the street. And these buildings that were so deteriorated, the engineer said there's no way you can save them. So we ended up saying, how do we make an attribute out of building a new building? The first thing we did is we own the affordable housing just to the west of it, 460. And so we set the building apart 30 feet so we could have landscape courtyards. And I'll show you how they all tie through in this whole district. We built it, but this is a LEED certified new construction, high ceiling, and it has acid waste neutralization, which allows scientists to use sinks that are connected to a system to neutralize chemicals. It has fume hood exhaust, so you could actually do chemical experiments. And it's all designed by the mechanical engineers that have designed Harvard, Penn, Yale's life science buildings to have the best features in terms of those experiments.
What LEED level?
What's that? LEED?
What LEED?
It's silver. I struggle to get this. I don't know, have you done a LEED certification already before?
I know about LEED certifications.
It's a pretty crazy and impossible system. And so we pushed and pushed and got a lot of different attributes in it to satisfy the different checklists. But we made silver. I wanted to go to gold, and we couldn't get there in terms of everything we have to add to get there. It's really a crazy system. I don't know that if what you added would actually make it environmentally better as much as you check a checklist.
Environmentally safer.
I don't know that it is environmentally safe. I'll be happy to send you the checklist so you could see what they count. The stuff they count doesn't help you. For example, you would have gotten more points if the materials I bought to build the building were within 500 miles of the location of the building. Fantastic. You can't get steel, you can't get curtain wall, you can't get concrete except for the Bronx within 500 miles. And that's how you get extra. So we got the concrete out of the Bronx, but we didn't do enough of a percentage of the materials to get the point. And if I'd gotten more things that could be manufactured within 500 miles of Harlem, I would have gotten more points to get to the next level. We were only 8 points short of getting to gold. But as much as we tried, we couldn't get those points. It's a great building. Come visit. You'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go to the next one.
Have you done a walkthrough?
Have what?
Have you done a walkthrough with the committee? As of yet?
No.
No.
Because I thought that's what you want.
No, not yet.
You, anytime.
No.
Y'all know how to reach me, and
Economic Development Committee is what this is.
I did not set up the walkthrough with the committee or anybody, because I need to first talk to Jerry about it, but we will do it, because everything wasn't quite 100% finished, and we wanted.
It's now done. It's now done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is rendering. We should actually do photographs now because it actually looks like this. We did, as you know, beautiful high-end finishes in the lobby. Let's flip to the next page. Oh, okay. And we'd have to zoom back out again. I guess I got my zooming wrong. I'm sorry. Tasty's on the left, and across we have these connections now with the Malt House, which I'll go through as well. And then what we were doing is trying to connect all these different academic users and arts users into the building. So we have been negotiating and got a grant for City College to open a life science innovation center in one floor of Tasty. So we got them a grant from EDC and a grant from the state ESDC, Empire State Development Corp. And we're working now with them on the negotiations and the design of their space. Harlem Biospace, that many of you know, is on the first floor, has a small incubator for startups, you know, one desk at a time. We got them a grant from the state ESD to open now a 10,000 square foot, what's called a step out space. So somebody has grown from being one desk to down, they need 500 square feet or not, they can go. So it's gonna be done probably in a month. We will invite you to the ribbon cutting, or Harlem Biospace. And the main building has also, as you see this list here, they have several life science, Volastra, Hemogenics, Silver, and that's part of what's now become a hub, a center of other life science users, many of whom have partnerships with either City College or Columbia. And so these are the Columbia life science, and this is the City College life science facilities and users. New York Structural Biology Center is actually a consortium of 16 hospital and medical centers across New York, from as far away as Memorial Sloan Kettering to Columbia Presbyterian. All of them have part of this and they share. So this is what led to the users and the tenant interest in those buildings. We flip to the next page. So part of it is that we're fortunate in a way that the city has these as of right benefits, so we can market these real estate tax benefits, energy benefits, et cetera. And so the cost of occupancy is lower than if somebody goes to Hudson Research Center on 54th Street or Westside Labs, which are our competitors in New York now. They're trying to get the same users to come to them that we're trying to create the jobs here. And so we do have the benefit of this. And I will tell you, the governor has been extraordinary in supporting West Harlem and trying to create jobs here. There is a nonprofit foundation that was formed by Priscilla Chan and Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, now called Meta, where they have funded the creation of life science research centers. The first was in San Francisco, right near where Meta has its headquarters. The second, they did a beauty pageant across the country, and they picked Chicago. So Chicago now has it. And they base it on academic centers. So it's a combination of University of Chicago at Champlain, the public university, and then Northwestern University. The third one, they are actually bringing to New York City. And so there is a competition, and they are looking at 3 locations. We are one of them. Alexandria Center right near NYU on 29th and the East River. And the second is West End Labs on 61st and West End. The governor's people have come to our presentations to Chan Zuckerberg to convince them that they want to be a Tasty. They have called and told them that we prefer that you're in West Harlem, and the city and the state are giving them incentives to come. Right now, they have not yet made a decision. We're hoping they'll bring those jobs. It's probably 150 jobs to one floor, Tasty. but we're waiting. Hope Knight, who many of you may know, she was at the Empowerment Zone. She was on the City Planning Commission, is now the president of Empire State Development Corp. She's Harlem born and bred, and she's the one who keeps sending these folks from the governor's office to come and lobby. You know, so we're hoping, but this is kind of what we have to go through for every potential user to convince them to come here, whether it's financial, whether it is benefits. Now, a not-for-profit foundation is not going to get these benefits because they're, you know, it's mostly passed through to for-profits. They will get the benefit of no real estate taxes and energy benefits. They don't get the job benefits because it's it's a state program against corporate income tax. So between those two, we tried pitching all users to come here and do that. We flip to the next page. So the Malt House, many of you know, is across the street. These are renderings, we should get photos because they're done. It was an old brewery where we saved the first 4 stories, renovated 100%, and then built another 7 stories on top up to it. It is a straight commercial building. My partner Scott is the one who developed this. Before COVID, he had 3 leases ready to go that were going to fill up 75% of the building. And after COVID, they all canceled and said they didn't want to proceed with leases. We have since signed 1 nonprofit, Unitas American Playground Harlem. They're a nonprofit that does outreach for economic development and job creation in Harlem. They're only a 12,000 square foot user. So we are still looking and reaching out all the time. Newmark is our broker that keeps trying to do advertisement outreach to find the brokers, find the users. It's a beautiful building also. So when you take the tour, we'll show you all the buildings. Right. And the next one is, many of you know the Mink building. It was this abandoned first story. It was originally an ice house for a brewery. So there were no windows whatsoever on the entire building so that the blocks of ice could keep the beer cold. And so it took a long while to get the city to approve to allow us to put windows in the building. And then in many cases, the floors didn't line up with the openings because the openings were just decorative. It was meant just to keep the ice cold. So it is now almost all completely full after years of marketing. Combination of, I don't know if you all know, Hypothekids, the not-for-profit that does STEM outreach in the high schools in Harlem to convince kids who are interested in science to do it, as does BioBus. And if you know, they also have a space at Columbia. They do education, teaching students how to get into sciences. State of New York has that rehab center on the first floor. Harlem Biospace, I said, is Step Out is moving. And then there are these 3 life science companies that have space as well. So if we flip to the next one. And the last building is the Suite Slab. It's where we have our office. Many of you have been up there. You just walk in whenever you feel like it. Our tenants are a combination of nonprofits and for-profits, African Services Committee, the West Harlem Development Corp, doing the Columbia CBA work, Harlem Biospace, a small incubator, Graham Wyndham, the foster care, Gluck Plus Architects, and Dash Media. Okay. Studio Museum is temporarily on the first floor, 429, while they're rebuilding a new gorgeous landmark headquarters on 125th Street. They've done 3 rotations of the artists in residence who have done their studio work there. So the next one is, let's see. So this is just some of the logos of our existing tenants that we would love to get more. Anyone you know, we will do outreach. Next page we go. So part of what we've done as this whole master plan is we're creating public outdoor spaces. Right now, it's been all this very tight buildings. And so when we built Tasty, we set it aside, and many of you have seen this now, this granite ellipse that you can sit on outdoors. And if you flip, I'll take you. What's that?
I can see that.
Literally across from my office. Come on, all right.
Okay,
we're under construction now to continue this all the way to 125th Street. We have a small 25 by 100 square foot lot that we bought from the city. and we're landscaping it, rather than building a building, we're landscaping it and making it the kind of main 125th Street grand entrance from 125th to the whole district. And so there'll be more seating areas and plantings that will go through to 126. If you flip to the next page. And then across from Tasty, this is one of the affordable housing development projects that Scott did back in 1987. We have just repointed the wall. We're going to paint a mural on it and have plantings as well in this area.
Yeah, I know the building.
You know the building? And then next page. Ecto owns this little vacant lot, 1,600 square feet between two buildings on 126 to 127. We just bought this lot from them through HPD. We bought it with a deed restriction, so we can't put a building there. So we are going to landscape and have seating areas there as well. So just have this continuous kind of outdoor landscaped areas where you can sit. If you go to the next one, this is another rendering from the other side from 127, looking to 126. And then this is the back of the Mink Building and Malthouse and Suites that we've done this planting that you'll see in the spring. Everything, the trees will all bloom. This is an outdoor space unless and until one day we get a tenant that's interested in that part of it. We will still keep the trees and the planting areas, but this part can be built on. Is that the end?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So this is how we've kind of done landscaping and outdoor in between the buildings to create a sense of community and place and places to sit, whether it's local residents, whether it's tenants, users, you know, places to sit while you're having meetings or, you know, I think with COVID, everybody at one point wanted outdoor spaces to feel more comfortable if we were quarantined again. So that's part of what we would do. You can do that.
The vision is sort of transforming it from an industrial site to a more community centered.
That's the intention. That's what we're trying to do with all the, either the little vacant lots that we don't build on because we want to make them outdoor sitting areas or at least have trees or something, you know. And then
Green space, creating
green
space.
spaces.
Yeah.
And then the former industrial been all converted to commercial with the hope of attracting companies and nonprofits to have, you know, this as locations. It's been really tough in this market,
I think.
COVID-wise, when people are not working in offices anymore. And it's been really tough where with interest rates flying through the ceiling, the roof, that all banks are cutting back and they're not really interested in CRA or lending to Harlem anymore. It's very, very difficult to get financing. And so.
I have a question. So like, do you guys have like, do y'all work with Columbia, like security wise, like patrolling, like public safety and all that? Cause like, you see like in Montefiore Park, they wanna have all these chairs out and land and trees and stuff, but it didn't really do a lot for the park. It only made it worse for the park, I think, cause now it's like all these drug issues going on. And you know, I don't know if you're aware, but like towards 125th, towards the bottom of 125th, is like drug issues, you know, like, you know, just, I don't know, just keeping that in mind, you know, like building all the seats and stuff and, you know, I know it's public, it's like a public area, so anybody can come in.
Own land that we are opening to the public.
Yeah.
And so we are reserving the right to, you know, police it in a way that, you know, community folks can use it and not drug dealers take it over.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we don't have security, like controlling what people do.
Yeah.
And so the goal is we hope that people will
Use it properly.
use it properly.
Yeah.
But again, if need be, we'll have to close them and say, okay, guys, we have to figure out a way that legit folks can use it without the drug folks taking it over, right? Whether it's working with cops or with, you know, whatever, to make it so it stays a public, you know, publicly available amenity, you know.
Sherry, that house at the corner,
Which house?
the apartment house, is that still there? It's between 126 and 127 when you come to the, it was an apartment building, right?
Yeah.
It's still functioning as an apartment building.
It's a supportive housing. It's a not-for-profit.
But it's apartments, it's not businesses, that's what I'm trying to understand. The reason I'm going back to what you're saying is that's an important factor. that it's an area that aside from businesses, it has a valuable, because I watch that building very carefully. They don't act crazy in that building. I go past it all the time.
Right.
So that's one of the issues that you want to know. So that you know there is a place where people are ain't acting crazy over there, okay?
Well,
But they can and they may.
I've been friends with Janice Bergtown, who runs ECTO for 30 years. And so that's how we kind of cooperated to try to, you know, create these things together. And she sold us that little lot. And I call her and say, hey, can you get your super to help also make sure that, you know, folks can still get to sit there and so that some, you know, everyone has to kind of keep eyes and ears out for doing it.
You recognize
you
Go ahead.
You know, he was sending us to look at the,
I don't hear you. I don't hear you.
he was gesticulating for us to look at the screen because Ewan has her hand raised up.
Oh,
so I was going to recognize Ewan so she can speak.
Oh, I didn't know Ewan was even at the meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm looking at.
Am I invited, Miss Dunn?
Well, now that you're here, it doesn't matter, does it? Go ahead, Ewan.
Oh, goodness. Thank you, for that presentation. You know, I love the look at it of it, and I certainly love the green spaces. But you know, they're just you never know how the economy is going to turn, right? So the green spaces were, and still, green spaces are still good ideas for community health and engagement. So, but I have a question about the lot that was most recently bought between the small lot close to I think it's close to the West Harlem offices, and it cuts through, yeah. I want to understand, yeah, that one. I want to understand more about the process in terms of availability and acquisition. You know that and I suppose this was a city process, because I feel, given the shortage of affordable housing, and more importantly, given the dire need for the arts and culture community, building devoted to the arts and culture in terms of space, access for rehearsal, performance, office space would have been ideal for that spot. And I just wondered, what is the process? Did the city ESD or Empire State approach you about that lot? Or did anyone know that it was even for sale? I mean, you know, there are priorities in District 9. And why wasn't that a consideration for the community on that lot?
Let me answer your question. In order for that lot to be sold, it had to go through ULURP. So it was a full-blown public process that came to the community board, borough president, city planning commission, city council, and mayor, all of whom unanimously approved it in the process. It is as you know, it's a privately owned piece of land, which is literally 1,600 square feet total. It's not big. It's not big enough to put a building where you'd need two means of egress and have all, right? You wouldn't have a floor plate. And so when HPD agreed to ULURP it, it was on the condition that we not put a building on it, whether it's ours, performance, it's not big enough. And they said, we have to landscape it. And that's what we're doing to take what is now, well, originally, as you may know, it was littered with garbage and cars, etc. So we cleaned that up, and we're going through the process of the drawing the designs, filings, and approvals to now then go build the landscape area. But it is a teeny weeny little lot.
Yeah, and that's why I thought that it would
Yeah.
have been well, first of all, I did not realize that it was privately owned since it was ULURPed by HPD. I thought it was city owned.
Not city owned, it's private.
Okay. And the fact that it was such a small lot, I thought in my mind that this would be perfect for arts center and the land could have been purchased by WHDC, you know, for the community. It's just that the disposition and acquisition of well, not in this case, of city-owned property is still a veiled process to me, and I am just trying to understand generally, you know, how that works. Yeah.
I won't answer for the mayor on how he handles city-owned property disposition. I'll let you all fight that out with him.
But I do thank you for what you guys are doing in terms of creating. Oh, one other question. With the public space, I heard, I understand that what's your company? You and Scott, what's the name? I'm blanking out on the name of the
Janice.
Janice, thank you. Has taken responsibility for the maintenance and also the monitoring of the public spaces. And that's a great thing. You've got a job cut out for you. But
I know, but you gotta come and help us, Yuan.
But yeah, my question would probably help in some way. That space could be activated as art spaces in terms of economic development for West Harlem, like a weekend market, arts and culture, since we couldn't get a building. So that is something that we would be interested in you know, managing a market in some of those green spaces. And I just, is that something you're considering, the activation of the public spaces?
I'd be thrilled by any activation ideas, markets, activity. You know, the hard thing is just getting insurance, because if someone gets hurt during those activities, that's the only thing. So if, you know.
We have insurance. I mean, it's required for public event and most.
Issue too, and I think our committee would like to know what you're thinking on it.
Yeah. I will certainly, I could present. I mean, we've been working on this for years now, but haven't been able to execute because of lack of space. But anyway, I'm glad to hear that. And also, if it's okay, I'd like to reach out to you, Jay, as well as the committee. Yeah. Yes.
Please copy Marita and
Please
copy Marita and Joy so I don't get in trouble.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Where the guys have all the cars, that's still open there. They go in the middle of the block.
Oh, that's actually privately owned, and they
will remain.
Well, it's privately owned, and they have a permit to park under the, you know, parking at grade with, you know, whatever it is, Consumer Affairs who regulates them or something. I don't know who it is, but at one point it was on the market and they wanted something like $6 million or something. Wow. I'm telling you, we can no longer do any more development in this community.
Yeah.
We are priced out, there's no financing, and the prices are insane. So you could probably look it up and you could go buy it if you want.
Well, the bottom line is, if we're gonna have more people coming in and out, they're bringing cars and they need that area. That's why that area doesn't really stay busy at night. It looks like it's busy in the daytime, and then in the evening, it's quite empty. So people are coming to events in that area, which is across the street from all of this.
Yeah.
Michael has a question.
Yeah, so my question was going to be, I mean, obviously, you probably put a lot of thought into making commercial development in this area, and I'm in support of it, in part because I feel like this area of Harlem loses out as compared to, let's say, downtown Manhattan, where there's tons of jobs and tons of commercial space. You know, just given the fact that the market is not really looking towards commercial properties at this time, is Janice considering developing more so like housing units as
So it's
demand grows?
funny,
Yes, please.
what's that?
Say yes, please.
What's funny, if we take back to history, however many years ago, what year was the rezoning? So I don't know, was it maybe 2016, 2014? I don't remember anymore, just how long ago this was. But there was a whole community-wide rezoning of Ward 9. And I think it was driven by Columbia having done its campus and getting much higher density on that campus, that there was a push by CB9 to do what's called contextual rezoning to limit that a lot of the existing housing wouldn't get displaced by bigger towers. And I think the four corners of 145th and Broadway were upzoned for more housing, denser in those locations. And housing, because the market's not going to support it without, I don't know, you get the subsidy, you have to get enough subsidies to do affordable housing on those corners. And I don't even know who owns them to do it. And community said, they wanted our little district to be rezoned what was M11. It was manufacturing use only. So everything was non-conforming there. And it was an FAR of 1. So you couldn't build anything. And so they said, we have lots of areas where we have lots of housing. There's no place for anyone to bring a company, jobs, or economic development. And the push was from CB9, and we supported it, to upzone that to be for commercial use. And so it's that little area really from the taxi garage, which you may know there by going towards Convent, to Amsterdam, that was rezoned to be MX, which was this commercial use. And it was upzoned to 5 FARs. So the existing buildings became legal at least, and it allowed us to build all of this. Now, I don't think anybody guessed in 2014 that COVID would come and change the whole world, so that interest rates would do what they're doing. It's very, very difficult to convert commercial to residential because of codes and size of floor plates and the cost of doing it. So I am not considering converting it to housing. Eventually, depending on what happens in the world, I don't know what would happen, right? The goal was to create enough of a critical mass that it's very funny. When we talk to the prospective tenants and we show them space, they think they're going to be the very first tenant and they're going to be the pioneer and they're going to bring their company to Harlem and they're going to save us by bringing their jobs. It often is what happens in these conversations. They don't realize that we already have all these companies that are here as tenants, and we're trying to create more and more and more to eventually support restaurant uses. Right. Because every restaurant we talk to said, well, who's going to come buy my food?
Yeah, where they going to come?
Who's going to come buy my food? I said, well, just look on look at the size of those projects and the towers and how many people there are that would buy it, but they're just not familiar. And so part of it is explaining, educating, convincing, etc., and bringing enough workers every day who would go buy lunch and then maybe stay after work and go buy, dinner or drinks or whatever. And so it's really hard because a lot of the chicken and the egg of bringing enough businesses. And so there's meant to be this critical mass to bring enough.
And working remotely doesn't help, neither people eating more at home and ordering in.
Go ahead, Michael.
Maybe I'm thinking from a young person's perspective too much. Oh, sorry, the train was going by, but maybe I'm thinking too much from a young person's perspective.
I need that perspective. Talk to me.
Well, seriously, where does a young person want to move? That places, bars, restaurants, jazz clubs, anything where there's like nightlife.
Yes.
In that area, you're gonna bring tons of people that are gonna either want to work there or that want to live there.
And the hard part is getting the financing for that jazz club to come, and then get the cabaret license and get the liquor license. So that's how they make money. It's going to sell drinks, right?
Right.
And so they're going to have to go through that. And so we've talked to a lot of potential users. We're still talking to more. The hard part is getting financing, whether we can raise the financing or they can raise the financing, of what it costs to build it out, get the company going. So we built out Plowshares. We paid to build that space out because we wanted it as an amenity in the district. He's not breaking even. Not breaking even yet. And I don't know how to get more. So the thing is, how do I get more companies to sign up as tenants? Because then they'll go buy coffee and lunch and things like that, and maybe they'll kick him off to do, but that's the hard part, getting everybody.
Yeah, and how.
I remember Cinderella.
Was that, what about Cinderella?
I remember Cinderella.
Well, Cinderella's a
situating
different
himself.
story. Cinderella did it because they got a political deal under former Mayor Giuliani to buy what was a Tasty factory, and they owned it before we did.
Uh-huh.
And they owned it, and then they were supposed to, they had committed to the city, they were gonna use it for food processing for all the stores across the city and create 250 jobs. They then found cheaper real estate in the Bronx, and that's where they do all the food processing. And so they had gone to the mayor saying, we want to convert this to luxury condos. And that's when Giuliani's term was up. Bloomberg came in, and Bloomberg said, no, we are not converting, we are not doing luxury condos here. And they said, no, I am Cinderella, I'm this political powerhouse. They said, no, you're not. And so they sued them, and that's how the city got the property back from Cinderella.
Mhm.
And so they did that fake little store on the 125th as a way to say, well, we'll have the store, but let us build luxury condos here.
Love it.
Terry, some years back when we were talking with you and we went over there, we talked about the possibility of having space for small businesses, like incubators for small businesses, or would have maybe like a desk or cubicle filling one floor.
Yeah. Can you run it for me? We just need an operator. We need somebody.
If you're serious about looking for operators,
No, time out. When I say an operator, I need somebody with real finances.
Yeah.
That can float the cost of.
Oh, that's a different thing.
No, they have,
Yeah.
I gotta pay a mortgage on all these properties, and I gotta pay taxes, and I gotta pay insurance,
Right.
so I need somebody who can at least pay a rent. And then they can make money off it by subletting it for more than they're paying on a mic, but the WeWork model we saw collapsed when they tried to do that, right? So we need somebody.
I can tell you something.
Okay,
Have you heard of Harlem Collective?
Harlem Collective.
Harlem
Collective, yes.
Their model has worked.
Okay, where are they?
On Amsterdam Avenue,
150.
between 151st and 152nd. They started off.
Oh, you want that? Okay.
And that's kind of a WeWork model.
Yeah.
On a smaller
but
scale.
It's.
Where did you
well,
take
they have-
us to visit, Marie, remember? Where was it? She should speak.
Jerry, they're my landlord.
They're your landlord?
Absolutely.
Oh.
So, go your ears. When I tell you that it has worked, they started off with a building on Amsterdam Avenue between 152nd and 153rd. And they had about 30 companies in that building. Yeah.
Can you arrange a tour with me?
Absolutely.
Great, I'd like to see it.
Absolutely.
Where is it,
I'll give you-
between what and what?
On Amsterdam Avenue, between one.
On Amsterdam.
Yeah. I'll give you my number. Call me when you're available.
It's just below, We Act on the other side.
Oh, okay.
On both sides of the street.
Oh,
They have-
okay, I know the area.
646.
Yeah, I know exactly, now I know exactly where it's
On both sides of
I'm
the
sorry,
street.
go ahead.
646-345-4658.
Thank you.
They have now a small building, but I bet you in that building like 45 companies, Jerry.
Did they buy the building or
They bought the building. They
You-
bought the building.
You probably
And-
know him. He's from Argentina. I can't think of the company's name now, but he's been buying up historic properties all over West Harlem.
Uh-huh.
So they bought the
Yeah.
church on
Javier
Edgecombe and wanted to do a supermarket, but couldn't. And they've bought buildings, but they're all historic properties.
private or for profit?
Huh?
Private or not profit?
Private.
Private.
Private. He's from Argentina. The money is coming
likes
from
it even better.
Argentina.
It likes it even better, exactly.
What's that?
It
Likes it even better.
Private, not for profit at all. It's for profit.
Cool, I'm coming up to visit you.
His model works, has
So-
been very successful.
How much is the rent for a desk, or how does it work, the modeling?
A desk is about $450 a month. So he has desks, he has day passes, and he has offices.
Great,
Yeah,
that's great to know.
yeah.
Good.
And
Some
it's
company with the following.
so if somebody wanted to just rent a desk for a day, there are desks that you get them for a day. If somebody just, just wants a desk, dedicated desk, and, they come and they plug themselves, that's their desk, that's.
People,
Yeah. He's
Right.
full.
Interesting.
right?
He's so full that he had to stop the day passes. And that's,
Yeah, you need
so
to
the
know.
reason I'm saying this is that I know you're trying to bring more companies in.
Yeah.
But then there are people in this
Absolutely,
district
I
who
get it.
need offices.
Yeah.
That's the forum's getting full.
Yeah.
What's getting
You know?
The forum, it's great community space, but.
Why not capitalize? Because he's full,
That's great to know. I'm glad I
I
came
didn't know
to
you
that.
existed.
And then,
And you would be.
and then, because he started, I'm giving up his secret, but it's okay. He's my friend.
We'll keep it between.
No, it's great for the community.
Yeah.
So he has revitalized that area. It was a sleepy little community. And then he brought in, a cafe. And that attracted more people because you're at work, you
Sure.
can go right into the
Sure.
cafe. The cafe is constantly, they are.
The one across
And
the
this is
street.
It's just off of the cemetery,
Yeah.
just below the foot of the cemetery.
And I'll give you a tour.
East or west side of the avenue?
On both sides. It's on both sides.
Whatever, that's.
So it's on, it's going up.
Right,
So.
right by the Hudson.
East.
On the east and west sides of the street.
So you're on the west side now.
This is west side,
By the Hudson is west.
Is west.
Across from the Hudson is east.
it's east, and then
Well,
it
now
goes
you know.
inside, okay, east.
Uptown is east, downtown is west.
East something.
He's on both sides.
Yes.
He's on both sides and it's
He's no longer the other side,
I'm gonna come visit you.
yeah.
And then I see an opportunity there to, then on the nonprofit side of things, where a nonprofit like the Merchants Association or the Chamber of Commerce, the Women's Chamber of Commerce, then we would apply for funding.
Right.
That subsidize our members to be there. So
Yeah,
the
that's-
nonprofit gets it from the city
Right.
council, pays Harlem Collective pays.
This was what we were talking with you about several years ago. There are so many vendors. We lost Smart 125
I know.
and trying to redo it. There are so many vendors that all they need is a 10 by 10. And they'll pay you for it. And so that they can sell their stuff.
Right, as long as there's someone who can organize the individual vendors, as opposed to us saying, okay,
I understand.
right? That's all. So
Let's
if you-
go.
Yeah.
Let's
So
go.
you're running the space, but somebody gotta run the business. That's
Yeah.
what you're
Okay,
saying.
no,
Yeah.
it's okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Sense.
Where's that place you took me to
Right.
5, 6 years ago? You took me to a kind of a working, I can't remember where it is.
Working space.
Yeah, a co-working space. I'm
What, the
gonna
downtown?
I'll look at my calendar and I'll find it.
Yeah, cause I
No,
know
it
my
was up-
son
no, it was up-
my son had a desk somewhere downtown,
I
but
think it was in the 130s, I'm trying to think.
in the 130s?
I'll find it,
I know, an Atlanta-based nonprofit that is seeking, space for a conference. A few days, the first week of March.
Right.
For the staff of 30 people.
The hard part for us is managing those kind of requests of dealing with a license agreement, insurance,
Gotcha.
and it depending on, if it's only 30 people, it's easy. We get people asking for 75 people.
Mhm.
Then you trigger a temporary, public assembly thing. And so we're trying to do kind of more wholesale than individual 3-day kind of thing. If somebody were organizing something like that, it was a Javier who says, I got you, come here, I'll set it up because I'm an operator. I'm not an operator, right?
I need to.
Okay, we got it.
I know someone who works with, companies,
Yes.
and they help develop companies. Companies are looking to save the person to grow their capacity. So I'll put you in touch with them.
That's great.
There are about 3 of them, you know. They can fill your space, because they have the businesses.
That's the key.
Thank you.
That's the key, because
Okay.
economic development for the area is the key.
No, I get it. I get it.
Can you give me a free space?
For the community.
Yeah, I'll help you, I'll fight for that for you too, you get that place filled up. Free space.
Bank, Harbor Bank, I'm sorry, I didn't want that space free.
Right here, Carver Bank, right?
No, but,
Start
give
on
me a
that.
call, let's get on this, let's
Yeah,
fill
yeah,
that place up, you know.
They're the only ones still lending in the neighborhood, by the way. It's Carver.
Carver.
That's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's the only one. It's not, yeah, but they
Oh,
have,
yeah,
but they
yeah,
have limited capacity. They're allowed to lend, so.
yeah.
Yeah, they have some questions
Well,
about,
there's $1.50 of mine in there, maybe I should go check.
I had a couple of questions about a couple of zoning things that are coming up, and so I know that one is the City of Yes economic opportunity, and there's a big provision about life sciences.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
really?
guess I'm wondering if, well, I imagine it's not relevant for you if you haven't.
Did you know about the city of Yes?
I did know about it, but,
Because they're like.
Well, let's hear from him, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let's go.
Well, yeah, I guess the question is mostly, is a life science provision relevant for you? And I would imagine it's not, because your buildings already exist, and some
I'm gonna
in
go,
the special district.
do you know what it does, that provision?
I think it allows, I think it expands the number of districts that are allowed to have life sciences, and makes the requirements be enforced by like agencies rather than be restricted by zoning.
Okay.
So it's like you have to like satisfy the city's environmental approvals, but like more life sciences allowed in manufacturing districts.
So, any M zone allows as of right the life science uses.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why when we were doing the rezoning, we said, you know, they wanted to take away and make it all C. I said, no, you have to leave M so we have every possible potential outreach that we could have, you know, legit. And so we are as of right life science users. There was a proposal on the Upper East Side of some, I don't know if it was a blood bank or somebody, that wanted to go in a commercial space under de Blasio. And so the mayor said, well, we're going to have DOB interpret the C zoning to allow life science. And folks threatened to sue. Because as of right, you're really not allowed to bring life science into a C zone. I think maybe the City of Yes is looking to enact as just legit now to allow those life science uses. So what it'll mean is, it'll be actually to our detriment, because now more areas would compete against us, whereas we're as of right legally M zone. But I haven't read this because I didn't.
But there are also some things in there that will also benefit too.
Oh, really?
So it's, yeah. So
When is it for the vote? When is that coming to the board?
2018?
We've already voted on it.
We already voted on it. It's going to city council. I think, what is it? It should be this month. They should be like.
Yeah,
doing
they
a
have a
hearing on
public
it.
hearing if you need to.
Yeah, they have a public hearing.
They have a public hearing if you need to
So,
say anything to
I
city
think it's
council.
in 2 weeks.
Well, I need to read it now, clearly.
Yeah.
And the other quick question was, I also know there's mostly residential rezoning that's going through Morningside Heights, and I think that'll impact some of those sites at 125th. And I guess this probably wouldn't have effect on like commercial or life sciences needs, but maybe like if that's, I don't know if you have a stance on that at all, or like.
It's 125th and where?
It's mostly the Morningside Heights neighborhood, and it goes as far north as like 145th and Broadway. I think there'd be upzoning would be large now, or maybe aren't I on that?
Side of Heights. So where that gas station is, from 125th back to behind Columbia, one side goes all the way back.
You go from like 110 to 125.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, our stuff is all 126, 127, so it wouldn't be any of our properties. I don't know really what the
They're
impact
south of 125th, is north of 125th, but I know where that area you're talking
I'm
about.
not sure what the impact would be. That's okay.
Is it where the one train goes?
Yeah, it goes up to the one. Yeah.
But you know where the park, if you know where the park is, up in there, 125th going downtown,
Right?
with the gas station, there's the
Oh, I
park,
think-
that's the area.
No, that Morningside.
Yeah.
Morningside Heights, that's what.
No, but he's saying on Broadway, Morningside Heights, the neighborhood, rather than Morningside Avenue, right?
Right, so most of
Yeah,
the
it's
Broadway.
just further west by, we're like, literally right down here, right? Yeah, Columbia, right?
Morningside Heights,
I try to stay out of
Columbia
Columbia politics.
Morningside.
Together,
Very helpful thing to do.
listen,
Now I got where you're at.
they'll just crush us for fun, so we try to stay out of,
Yeah.
any issues that affect them.
Well. Yeah. You have a business card or something?
No.
We'll just write
But you have my email, right? Yeah. We don't carry business cards anymore. I used to.
I don't carry them either.
They're sitting in my drawer and I haven't taken one out in years.
I keep one in my wallet all the time. I have a business card in my wallet. You never know who
I have
wants
a
it.
digital one.
Everybody's never remote.
Yeah. I know, we're not remote. We're all in our offices, every day, but, no. All right, well, I'm gonna contact them and take a tour.
Absolutely.
When you guys are ready, we'll arrange a tour, show you
Yeah.
the buildings.
And if you want to meet Javier. let
I
me know.
absolutely want to meet
I will
Javier.
connect both of you.
No, I want to meet with you,
Oh, okay.
since you're his friend.
Right? Yes.
No, seriously.
No,
And
seriously.
right, and-
He's a great guy.
good.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
good
that'd
friends.
be very helpful. And I'll
Yeah.
check out these City of Yes things to see.
Mhm.
Yeah, distribution centers, that would be.
And then I'll follow up with you to how to take everything that's amazing here and funnel it to the Merchants Association. Because we
Absolutely.
need this anchor. The marketing works for me. The marketing works for everything that we're trying to do, like, and and if I may, part of the Merchants Association's tasks is to work with the Montefiore Parks Neighborhood Association to really maintain an active presence for the Montefiore Plaza. Internally, we've been calling it MSG Harlem, Montefiore Square Garden, and the marketing to this lends to that. And then I could piggyback off of the two, because basically you just put on a show, respectfully, a presentation where you would pitch this to, what did we just get from the soccer? The playoffs, we're gonna get like the soccer coming to MetLife Stadium.
Oh,
like
FIFA.
Right.
Yeah, you can pitch this and then add the layer of the economic development, the nightlife, everything that you were talking about, bringing activity and so forth. That's what I want, but all the way to 155th, all the way from 123rd to 155th. And this is a damn good anchor to do it with.
Really, I know you have the connections. You got to arrange the financing for all these users. That's the hard part right now. Nobody
It's the
can get,
money.
well, nobody can get not free money.
No,
You know,
yeah.
So I'm not even talking about subsidy. I'm talking about just financing. That if a company has 1, 2, 3 employees that wants to go to 7, and they need to fund either equipment or space, they can't get the
Because of the interest rates.
interest rates, and nobody wants to lend to that kind of user. And
It's
so
not for government grants and subsidies.
if you have the connections,
It's not the connections, it's just so they hired.
It is
me
the
because
connections.
Yeah, but I can't say that in a public venue.
no, I don't mean it in a negative
No,
connection.
that's-
I mean, connecting people who have small
The
businesses in
relationship.
areas who need to get the
Right,
financing.
exposing. Don't connect, expose them.
No, not that, but what I'm speaking to is knowing how government operates.
Right.
Me having 16 years of city council and state legislature, where you know the back end process of the bills that are being voted on in April for the state legislature, in July 1st for the city council, to then squeeze and extrapolate along with the governor and the speaker, and then have the mayor sign off saying, this is an economic package
Right.
that we can leverage in this area for the good of Harlem. That is a subsidy that would then allow for an easier entry because the bar is not as high. Whatever that highness is, whatever level, it's just a smidgen under. That gives me a fighting chance that puts an opportunity to go out.
Yeah, no, and I think, certainly we've gotten a lot of support from Mark Levine, from Sean Abreu. They're really, but they're so limited, the little member items, you can't get enough for the money for what someone needs to.
And that's why I spoke about the whole council, the
Yeah.
legislature, because it has to be a bigger pot, but focused on Harlem.
Right.
Harlem is still mecca for people of color.
Yeah.
It's Harlem and Brooklyn, but I don't represent Brooklyn. And God bless them.
They're doing okay by themselves.
Yeah, I represent
We need
where
more
I
money
live.
in Harlem.
So that's what I see. And for me, you're not going anywhere.
I'm not going.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm married now. And my wife knows. She's made peace with
Oh,
us.
you're married now? Like,
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. We've been together 10 years and now 4.
You get married, you
Well, it
tell
was
me.
COVID. I couldn't invite you to the
Can't
wedding.
you see how fabulous he's looking?
Just that. Yeah, can I tell you how long he
But my hair was
wasn't
black.
even, wasn't even dry when I
He had
used to.
hair by that
And
time.
you look like him back then.
So that's what I was before.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Jerry, thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you, talk to you.
Okay.
As usual, we are dedicated to assisting you.
I know that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All righty.
I want to add something. No, this is, that's the, get in touch. Okay.
So we want to welcome our new member to the, have you all welcomed him?
I mean, we saw each other earlier today.
Member. Our new member? Corey,
Public.
take-
Public.
Oh, public.
Oh, right.
Man, you have
On
my
behalf of Kenya
You have
Brio and the
my
Newport Chamber of Commerce.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, public member.
I mean, I've been coming here for 16, 17 years.
I know.
So, they got my name somewhere. Matt?
Yeah.
So, to formally introduce myself, I introduced myself at the general board meeting, but I'm going through every committee. My name is Corey Ortega. I represent the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce, the West Harlem Merchants Association. The chamber received a grant from SBS to revitalize and begin from scratch. Take care, Jeff. A merchants association. It's going to focus from about 123rd to 155th, St. Nicholas Place, all the way to 12th Avenue in Riverside. I just started about 3 weeks ago, and it's going to take about 2 or 3 months to formalize the paperwork, branding, and so forth. But what I'm trying to do is to get a sense of what our community board and their respective committees have a priority over, and then work that in with all the information here, work it into the Merchants Association, because one of my mandates is economic development. If we bring attention, we're great. We just have to show the rest of the world that this side of Harlem is booming. And we have to do that through marketing, social media for the businesses, working with partners.
Accessible, that's what I always tell people, you'd be surprised how accessible it is. You can reach all over Harlem. There's a bus in every avenue, there's a train every, you know.
We're a college town. We have 3 colleges here.
Yeah,
I don't know a lot of other. More than 3. Did we up one?
Columbia,
We have 5.
City College,
Columbia, wait a minute.
Boricua.
Columbia, Barton, Teachers, Jewish Theological Community. I know, don't worry.
All right, so we're up to 6, right? I just found out about
Always
that.
had
I thought we had like
3.
And the opportunities that we have, but it takes someone to stay at the helm, because everyone is focused with their specific mandate. Community board, the community. Jerry, development, commercial real estate. My job is to focus on both and the corridors, right? The Broadway strip, which is the primary, and then work on the secondary and then third. So, Amsterdam and St. Nicholas and definitely the 12th Avenue, where we used to have, Florida Harlem. We still have Dinosaur BBQ, the dead space in the back for structural integrity issues, but that was a booming restaurant and nightlife back in its heyday. So that's what I'm going to focus. It's more understanding what are the needs, take it down, work with each committee. I was at the Senior Citizens Action Committee this morning, and they were talking about their May resource fair, I think, for May. And by that time, I think the Merchants Association will be in a better position structurally, where then we can lend support resources. And then it goes both ways, right? Market the merchants the same way that a lot of businesses do on IG. The marketing now has changed so much since I was in college. Now they don't market water and they tell you this is the best mineral water your lips have ever experienced. They tell you, oh my God, it makes me feel so calm. It makes me feel cool. The way I I drink it. And then at the end, they say, yeah, if you're interested in this water, it's in the link below or in the bio below. They buy it because you share an experience. Harlem is very well known for the experiences that we can show potential customers. So let's market to that and then ramp it up.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I would love to do a concert in the plaza. The LGBT task force, they're talking about events. Bring it to the plaza. I'll be your events manager. I'll help you wherever I have to. And then, you know, add money to the pot once we get more money. But if I stay focused on this over time, we'll bring that economic development and that attention and benefit our small business owners so then they can grow and they can get more space at the Harlem Collective. They can get space, commercial space, office space here. We can we can have them IWBE certified. We can help them with their IRS issues or make sure that they're aware of the pitfalls coming forward. So that's what I'm focused on. It's a lot of work. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. So I was very fortunate this opportunity came. I left my lobbying job for this. I literally work 1 block away from where I live. I live on 134th Street. The office is on 135th Street. And now I get to come to all the community board meetings again. So that's it. Any questions? And Anson. So the office is on 135th Street.
The Women's Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, 135th, 136
Right
on that
next
side.
to Home Sweet Harlem?
And next to the pizzeria Pickles.
Across the street from Columbia, from City College.
Isn't that a building though, like West Harlem Group Assistance or something?
They own it. That was their old office space, years ago.
Across the street from the NAC.
Mm-hmm.
Corey, if you can.
I know.
Is that their office?
So,
Don't you rent from West Harlem Group Assistance?
Can you hold on, please? Somebody is talking. If you can you please come to our meeting? And give us updates so that we can see what you're doing and how we can also assist you.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I know. You did today, but I don't want you to not come next month.
No, let me help her.
Yes.
I want you at next month's meeting, John.
And just say that again next week.
Yes, exactly.
That's it.
And we'll go 1 meeting at a time.
So I want you here today and gone tomorrow.
I mean, I've been living here for 40 years. My birth certificate says Harlem Hospital. I'm gonna be right here for you. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ewan, you're recognized. You wanted to say something?
No, sorry, I was trying to figure out where I thought the Women's Chamber office was a rental space in the West Harlem Group Assistance building, but you just said they own their space?
No, I never said they own. I said that's where they're located. Exactly what you just said.
Okay.
They lease from the West Harlem Group Assistance, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Madison, can you open the chats? Because there are some chats in there so that we can acknowledge what people are saying.
Oh, this is last.
Last?
And this is just direct messages.
Oh.
Take it off so it doesn't interfere with what we're doing if you can.
Claudette, you can have my number, give me a call. I'm here like Corey is. I'm not going anywhere. I'm like Corey. So if you've been trying to reach me, give me a call.
When are they trying to do their like their event over here? They're trying to book this space to do an event, no?
So we're having a meeting with the merchants on February 28th, and the first thing we're going to address is 136, 137th on the downtown side, so the west south side. Yes, I'm sorry. Where there have been a lot of people that are experiencing homelessness, addiction, and mental health issues, and there's been illicit vending there, and then that whole perfect storm has lent itself to attracting illicit dealers, and with so it's like its own ecosystem where you'll have illicit vending, which then allows someone to purchase illicit drugs from an illicit vendor on the same block, and it's just that circle on repeat.
Oh, wow.
But it's killing Dunkin' Donuts. It's killing it used to be called, I think, Espinosa. They called it something else now. It's a restaurant right there on the corner of 137th. Folk don't want to buy their food there or continue patronizing, I think I'm using that word correctly, the restaurant because of the type of environment that's there. My belief is, and excuse me, the belief of the chamber is, if we want to help these folks that are experiencing it, the streets is not the place to help. If you need mental health, then we should have information and resources so they can go to a mental health out or a clinic or see a doctor. The same for if somebody wants to be a vendor, okay, we're gonna help you. Let's go to the licensing process. But this is not where you do it, or not within the regulations that the city puts out. If we can't address that, then those stores, we fear that they're gonna go out of business. Dunkin' Donuts, it's a franchise, but that means that one individual owns that franchisee license. And so far, the complaints that we received and talking to the manager, women are no longer allowed to work there, not because the manager says, you're a woman, you can't work here. Women don't feel safe working at Dunkin' Donuts. The folk that are male staff, they have to physically fight certain individuals that will steal product or try to get behind the cash register, and the police have been called, and the police did a wonderful job last night to this morning, where now it's quiet because police calls were sent 2 days ago. There was a gentleman swinging a bat and had hit someone and almost hit Kenya Abreu. So those are the type of activities that we're dealing with in that specific area, and those were one of the complaints or concerns that we first were made aware of in the process of me starting 3 weeks ago. So that's the first thing that we're going to address, and it's for the merchants. And then we're going to keep a series of meetings going all the way until July. So as we get different concerns, whether it's external or internal business, how do we address that collectively, right? With Community Board, NYPD, Department of Sanitation, and we're looking to create a task force to address issue by issue, hence task force. And then everything else that falls under me, just dealing with the merchants itself and making sure that they have a healthy practice and a healthy presence online with marketing to continue that economic prosperity if we can get that.
So, I'm sorry, if I may, this one should know, if you don't know. I'm the president of the 30th Precinct Community Council, and we have our eyes on the Montefiore Park. We're trying to do something with the police, so just anything, just reach out to me as well. You know, if there's anything going on, popping up there, yes, with the police are there, we are aware of it, but you know, also we are the civilian counterpart, so it's something that we can discuss.
No, I'm going to tell you right now. So part of the plan is, so in the original renderings for the Montefiore Park, what we thought that circular kiosk, we thought it was going to remain a kiosk. There's no longer space within that kiosk. It has a lot of operational materials and equipment. I haven't popped it open and seen it myself, but SBS and other people are vouched for it, but I want to take a look. There's no space to physically house a person there. Given that we want a presence, however, maintenance or security for our community, we are making an attempt to take over the newsstand that's on 137th in Broadway. It's not being used. The Merchants Association, to the nonprofit organization chamber, believe that we can establish a presence there. If we establish a presence, we establish programming. If we have programming, we establish information. If we have information, we establish traffic. And then so that's one of my priorities now. We've been talking to DOT. They are the agency that is in charge of the physical space, and then we have to talk to another agency to expedite that. And once I get more information from those agencies, I'm going to come back to both CB9 and the Community Council.
Thank you. Thank you, Marjorie.
Oh, no, that's along the lines of I was going to ask you, what you're saying sounds good in terms of interfacing with the underground economy, business vendors. What's your strategy for doing that? And supporting people, the people who patronize those vendors, who may be in need of mental health supports and other supports. How do you look to engage them and the vendors themselves?
So I have a lot of
towards
notes.
dissuading them from using the space that way.
I have a lot of notes on that are not fully baked. because I've only been here about three weeks with this organization. That's why we're forming this task force, so that we can come up with a master's plan, so to speak, not just a Band-Aid where something happens and we react. What is that? And I'll give you a few examples in my brief conversations with Parks Department. We want to have a presence there. First, we were thinking maintenance cleaning. And when we spoke to Parks Department, they said, well, hey, you know, speak to so-and-so. Somewhere in my notes, the person's on leave, they're coming back soon in a few days. If Parks Department is there from 8 to 10, maybe you can cover 12 to 3. But now I want to extend that same presence from the plaza and bring it over to the newsstand. Then working with sanitation department. I was just informed that the sanitation department is now in charge of vendors in terms of overseeing that.
Yeah.
That means they will
Throw their stuff in the.
I want to say the PC version of everything. They would be in charge of enforcement with regards to illicit vendors. And when I mean illicit vendors, I mean you don't have a license to be there. And if you don't have a license to be there, we're looking at what authority will they have to confiscate products, you know, whatever that is, baby shampoo to toilet paper and so forth. And that's just based on one conversation I have with Parks and I'm having with DOT. If we expand that and bring the task force in, which is about 10 organizations, community board is in there, precinct is in there. And we'll say, all right, what's the long-term plan? So we can have what would seem like a 24-hour presence 7 days a week, but it's really strategic management of different resources and making sure that someone keeps their eye on that ball. If I'm not fired by then, I want to keep my eye on that ball and make sure it goes tick-tock. Again, these are preliminary conversations, so I don't have a fully baked out plan for you, but the plan is to have one and then execute on that. Because we know, you know, the NYPD, they'll come for a week or two, but then another emergency is going to happen on 155th, somewhere on, you know,
and you say that's reactionary. But what you're talking about is, or sounds like at least, addressing the causes, the root causes of the underground economy that's taking place.
And we're going to use
around Montefiore Plaza.
And we're going to use that as a
by engaging the people. So, okay.
And we're going to use that as a pilot. If it works in Montefiore and it works right across the street, the newsstand and Dunkin' Donuts, then how do we push that north? How do we push that south? Because some of the preliminary conversations is, well, you're going to clear that area and it's going to move.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
But like Jeffrey Canada, one block at a time and go, because I don't think at this point we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure yet to expand it throughout the whole district. But if we have to put out one fire, what's the worst fire we have? Or what's something serious or priority that we can start and then show tangible progress? So
you want to come up with a model.
Yes, sir.
That can, should it be effective, can be expanded. You know, can be resourced and expanded to other areas where there are similar.
And part of this plan is funding. So if this pilot works, then we would make it a priority to advocate for not just the city council, but then try to go for the speaker for speaker initiatives, not just the assembly member and the senator, but the assembly speaker and the majority leader to then tap into a larger source of funding. And all that takes time, but you have to show a track record to say, this worked, we need more money. And with that, we're hoping that it will spur the economic development that CB9 wants, that the Merchants Association needs to be successful.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, I'm trying.
You know, how you doing?
Okay, you and I see your hand up.
I'm listening. I think, you know, Montefiore is a hard nut to crack, and it will take a yeoman's job to do that. The merchants on that end have been dealing with that population in Montefiore Park, but since that park opened, and Michael Palmer, you know, he created a task force. There wasn't much support from the precinct. As you said, they'll be vigilant for a couple of weeks or days, and then they disappear. I think the core issue here, and it's not only in Hamilton Heights, it's citywide, is the issue is with the agencies. And I think community boards should never approve any additional public spaces in Hamilton Heights or elsewhere unless there is a maintenance plan right behind it. They have never, ever paid attention to that. And it's all about the space looking pretty and them, and it's mostly PR, giving a community beautiful green spaces, but they've never put any effort behind the maintenance of it. And it's just a waste of city money. And I know you mentioned funding, but the fund, again, it's not the funding to a community organization unless that space is privatized. And that's why, what the Janice is doing, taking control of that space and taking the responsibility, maybe that will work. But for public spaces that are made beautiful and then within a couple of months, the situation is worse than ever, because those beautiful spaces, if it's not maintained, if there's no oversight by the city agencies who place them there, it's those beautiful spaces just serve as a magnet, not for the people, the average residents in the community, but for the homeless and for the ones that are in need of help. On the other hand, the vendors that are there selling, what do you call it? Things that they've picked out of the garbage or they've collected used, things. There must be a demand for it. I mean, that's maybe something, you could study, why someone's got to be buying that stuff. And if there's a need for it for those people who cannot afford, first-hand stuff from stores, then I think there should be some accommodation made to that community, whether it's limited the number of spaces and rotating the spaces for those vendors and then getting them legalized. But they keep coming back and they keep displaying. So unless they're selling something else that we can't see, which could be, I don't know, but we have to look at that. And rather than just create complete displacement, look to see if there is a need there. This would not include the people who go to the food pantries and the people who steal from the drugstores and then come out and, you see them selling 2 apples, a bunch of banana, or, 1 bottle of lotion, because that you don't want to support. But I've done and still continue to do some work along Amsterdam Avenue with the merchants, but in the southern end, that is a big problem, and it's been going on for more than 2 years before COVID, and throughout the lockdown when there was no sort of police presence, they just took over, and I think if you're able to solve that issue, then you'll have a model to be replicated. But it goes back to the agencies, it really does.
May I respond?
Yes, please.
So I agree, definitely the maintenance, and I think this is what you're seeing. And with regards to the vendors in the plaza. We've again had preliminary conversations with regards to making sure there's a legitimate system. When I mean legitimate, either by way of vending zone, so there will be a very predetermined space, area, application process, and certification, so that that vending can be done in a very responsible manner. That, we're also looking at farmers market. We're looking at a hybrid of farmers market, thrift store, basically those same vendors that you spoke of. But and by we, me and the folk at the chamber are doing research, and we're gonna have several conversations on how to roll that out, best practices.
Yeah.
So that we can work the legislative policy side with the agencies, and if the change is a little drastic, we'll go to the legislative side. But there are going to be several solutions that we're going to put forward, and then decide what's the best course of action. So just be patient. I know I have to get everything up and running in about 6 months, and that'll be the foundation. But I'm parallel to the foundation of the Merchants Association is working the Montefiore area and the newsstands Dunkin' Donuts area.
It was also mentioned last night at the Arts and Culture committee meeting that City College and Columbia have shown interest and it's hearsay in the church, the buildings on the circle around the park.
Church on the second floor.
Yeah. So again, it would be helpful to know what their plans are. I haven't had a chance to call City College yet, but because if it's something that is positive, it could support what you're doing, on the plaza, just having that space occupied.
Okay, all right. Can we go to subcommittee reports? Because I'm seeing that it's
10:30.
What's happening? No, it's John. Subcommittee reports.
Yeah.
Strategic planning.
Nothing really new to report. We just talked a little bit about.
I don't hear you, baby.
Sorry, nothing really has changed that much. We just went over the agreement with Columbia, and we're still pressing the issue with regards to the elementary school. So yeah, nothing much that.
When are they moving the elementary school over to the new building?
That I don't know, but I know that they're still in talks with both Columbia, and it kind of seems like they gave up on conversations with Department of Education. In part because it has to do, I guess, with designation, the school saying that that it doesn't meet certain qualifications to meet.
The new building doesn't meet the qualification?
No, the old building, but yeah, we'll get a further update on the school building if you need more information.
I thought it was almost a settled deal. That's why you see me trying to say what?
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Small business. Corbin.
Yes, I barely can do 2 sentences besides coughing. I am just under the water. I'm telling you, it's terrible. But briefly, if I can make it, I have some few information about the fair. So the forum, the fair that we will be having in April. I'm gonna wait for that time, if it's possible. Can you hear me?
Yes, darling, we hear you. Get better.
Yeah.
I'm very, very congested.
Wow. Yeah. Sorry to hear that.
Events.
This per the committee's request, submitted a couple of program models, potential program models for consideration for the upcoming, what is it, conference or forum?
Conference?
And I'm looking to hear that from committee members with respect to which, if either of them will most closely align with our intentions.
Okay. I know that we had, thank you, John Martin, but I just wanted to say to support what you're saying. I know that we, to try to speak louder, that we had agreed to add an additional day to work together. Since that time, I have been so under the weather, have not been able to do many things. So that's yeah. So that's why we've not been able to respond to your proposal. So would you mind sending it again, please, to all of us so we can take a look at? And we can please respond to John Martin's brief so we can move forward with this conference that we are planning. I know that the weather has not been very friendly at all with us. Everybody's getting one thing or the other, you know, and then we're all overworked as well, so that doesn't help. We have to June. That's it.
We're not talking about, are we talking about the business conference?
Yes, the business conference.
You said June.
Huh?
You said June.
No,
it's in April.
No, I know it's April.
Oh, we have
April
until June.
28th.
Yeah, because, you know, we are a bit behind. We have a bit behind. We didn't have that anything in January.
June is a more realistic target, but.
You're not doing April 28th? Okay, let me give you, I just want to try to look a little. I have two different reports on the April 28th day.
Yeah.
I went to a different event at the Manhattanville Community Center.
Okay.
And I was blown away by the space. I was just blown away.
Where?
Manhattanville Community Center.
Okay.
Aside from a full stage with dressing underneath, which we don't need, but that's okay. They, at the end of their ball field, they have a full kitchen, refrigerator, oven, everything. And when it's wheelchair accessible from all angles, you don't have to go at the height. You can get in from the street and just go in. Wheelchair accessible all the way down. 5 conference rooms is on the same floor. And it has an internal elevator.
Wow.
So, because I
Where was this, Marita?
In Manhattanville Community Center.
Oh, really?
So, because I don't have no brains, I went in there and said, okay, y'all hold this space. I want it. I'll get back to you on that. Well, hold it. So they are holding, they don't have me officially saying it, but they are holding for us to say, it's April the 28th, that particular Saturday, because they have to set up the chairs and all like that. And I already talked to NYCHA because the elevator wasn't quite working like it was supposed to. Don't worry, honey, I called NYCHA and told me I'll get it fixed. And they got
That's a Sunday. That's a Sunday, right?
Just be quiet a minute. They have a March.
Yes, Mom.
30th, thank you. They have a March 30th day. I'm trying to tell you, who has the March 30th day? The elevator people. Somebody has, I gave them a March 30th day so that we would have a month in between to make sure everything worked for the April 28th day. That's why I'm on.
That's amazing. That's a great job. I think we can still move towards it, make it happen.
Yeah.
What we saying?
The center is like built for kids though.
What center?
What do you mean? They have small chairs for little kids?
Yeah, my sister
they have chairs. No, honey.
I mean, it's just like, that's how you.
That's because you don't go to any events in the evening.
My sister goes to
they got the chairs that roll around and circle tables where you can sit if you have a private thing, or they have the. The people trying to take over Manhattan, they meet there all the time.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, go ahead, you.
So this is on a Sunday, and what is the event? The reason I'm asking, because April 27th and 28th, we're having a Harlem Culture Crawl.
Isn't
So
April 28th a Saturday?
Sunday.
When was our thing supposed to be? I thought it was April 28th. Look and tell me when that business conference is supposed to be.
yeah, I thought it was a Saturday. Wait a
Oh,
second.
you know, I may be wrong.
Please check.
All right.
Yeah. We're doing a check, because maybe I'm saying it wrong, but
Let me check. I might be wrong too. I mean, we may both be wrong. Let me
No, you're
just.
right with April, so I'm saying something wrong. When is that conference supposed to be, Steve?
Just looking back.
I know you are.
Oh, it is 27th.
It is the 27th.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is
so
that Saturday?
Yes.
so April 27th is a Saturday, so that's the day.
That's
Okay.
the day.
So we're having a Harlem Culture Crawl on the 26th and the 27th. So depending on what it is that you're having, we could add that to the calendar, something to do. I don't know what it is that you're planning or whether or not it's open to the public. But I heard the concert, yeah.
All right, you're dumb, because of what we said it was, you would have to make that decision, because if it's a program to help small businesses, it's not something that you're going to do. In my mind.
That makes sense. So, no, it's not open to the public. Y'all can't come.
No, and we don't want to, it's a conference. For small business.
Yes.
Can somebody read me in?
It's a closed conference.
Right.
And the focus of which is providing information and resources to
Okay.
area small business owners, vendors, kitchen table businesses, you know, and people who might work.
Okay, got you. That's not our audience, yeah.
People who might look forward to becoming entrepreneurs in the district.
That's the culture crawl that's not the audience for it. Yeah.
Sign the chamber up, the volunteers or whatever, and add to the spice.
That would be most helpful. Let's
to
do
the
that.
coalition.
Yeah.
Because we're addressing the same community.
Beautiful.
Oh, and when I had the conversation with the Manhattanville Community Center, I started with you volunteering the space. That was the first word you volunteer space. And I'm part of the staff. I didn't realize, I said only volunteer one maintenance staff worker, but I think maybe there may be two. So I have to go back and have an internal conversation. But I never officially told them I had to wait to come here, you know, to tell everybody here. But they've been holding the space for these.
But you definitely need a similar space, definitely.
So we'll just arrange a time with you to go and look at the space. Is that?
No time, anytime it works for you, we'll do it.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, thank you, well done. Old business?
That was old business.
That was old business, that is old business. Unless you wanna talk about the letter.
We passed it along to Victor this year.
Okay.
I haven't heard a response from him, so I'll probably get back in touch with him and ask him about it.
Okay.
Probably because he was so blown away by it.
Don't play with Clayton, right?
Also, there's I think there's a student reporter who's come a few times to the meeting, who's been following up with me. So he, like, as soon as it's escalated, she wants to also report on it as well. So I think she's been waiting to see for that to be proliferated.
Okay.
But yeah, so I will get back to Victor and see if he has any updates.
Okay, good. Appreciate him. Any new business?
Never know.
No, okay. All right. In the
Need a
end,
motion.
I move that we adjourn.
Anyone
second? There you go, we're adjourned, thank you very much.